everyone, and welcome along into the Sporty Show. Thank you for joining us as always. I'm your host, Sarah Alex, and what a week it has been. We've had our first match day of Knockout Champions League football, but we do have a very busy weekend ahead. Manchester City taking on Newcastle, Inter and Juve, and of course, Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen. Lots to get into, so who better to get into it with than the one and only Mr. KlintonCod.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Yeah, doing all right. I'm just happy because I know Manchester City are about to cry again. It's going to be from Newcastle, and I cannot wait for that show. But before we get on the show proper in details, I present to you the shortest man in Madrid. It's Alex Ashmore. Alex, what's up? Are you as excited as I am?
I am. There's an exciting weekend of football on SportyTV this weekend. Some cracking games.
Yeah.
Looking forward to them.
Absolutely.
I'm looking to it. Wow. Nope. I'm also looking forward to it. My, oh my. Let's also welcome to the show, joining us from the Sporty FM cast. It's, who is it today? I forgot. Kosi. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Kosi! Sorry about that.
What a shirt.
It's because you're wearing that shirt. I think maybe I said that.
Because you don't wear the England shirt and doing kakaka, bro. They would arrest. You know, guns are not allowed in that country. You know, don't do it next time, bro. Because if in case you want to apply for a visa to England, I mean, these are the things they watch, and they will literally stamp.
No, they'll see the England shirt and they'll be like, yeah, approved.
Bro, demonstrating a gun.
No, but they'll see the England shirts. That's all that matters. 3 lines on the chest.
Kosi, why are you wearing the England shirt? Can you tell us why?
England is actually my adopted team. I happen to live there for a lot of my life. So they are my adopted team. And it's a pretty nice shirt. It's red. I hope Clint doesn't call me a ritualist again.
I mean, to be honest, I think
I wore...
Sorry, go on.
Pardon?
No, go on. We're listening.
Yeah. I mean, so I wore an England shirt because I don't think there are any ritualists in England.
Right.
So at least I'll have a few day today.
You don't think there are ritualists?
But then again, Clint, you owe me. You owe me.
What do I owe you, sir?
You owe me an apology.
Oh.
Okay. Ooh. Tell me about this apology.
I predicted that Madrid derby right to the latter.
Hold on. What did you say?
I said it will end 1-1.
And then what did you say after the 1-1 later on during the show? See, this
No, I said it will end 1-1.
Sorry?
I said it will end 1-1.
No, you said there were going to be goals. As a matter of fact, he even said something about 3 goals because he listened to me, and then we're then saying, okay, you know what? This is not a battle about how many goals they are going to score now. And then we said, let's see which God is going to be speaking proper. The truth is, you and I know, as native doctors are aware, obviously you are not a well-polished native doctor. But fact is, your native doctor was speaking to you probably with, I don't know which network he was talking to you via, but Baba, listen, you didn't predict right, and let's just leave it at that. Let's talk about the real
I think we need to find the tape. We need to find that tape, Clint. We will find the tape.
All right, we'll bring it up. Next time you're on the show, Kosi, we will bring it up. Funny how Kosi's wearing an England jersey after Ghana doesn't qualify for AFCON. Do what you want with that information. But here's what's coming up today on The Sporty Show.
Coming up on The Sporty Show, we've got you covered with all the action from yesterday's Champions League games, from Club Brugge's surprise win over Atalanta to Celtic taking a beating from Bayern. We'll also take you through the exciting Premier League matchups as Leicester City will face Arsenal and Liverpool takes on Wolves at Anfield. And of course, we'll dive into all the weekend action across Europe's top leagues.
Yes, lots to get into, but first let's get into what's coming up on Sporty TV. We have Al Hilal versus Al Riyadh. We have the QPR versus Derby County. Adelaide versus Newcastle tomorrow. Preston versus Burnley, and it's the big match in the Premier League. Manchester City and Newcastle right here on Sporty TV, followed by Leverkusen taking on Bayern Munich over in the Bundesliga. We have Levante versus Sporting Gijón in La Liga Hypermotion, Mallorca versus Las Palmas, and in the Serie A, it's Juve versus Inter Milan. We also have Panathinaikos versus Olympiacos, Benfield versus Boca, and River Plate versus Lanús. Lots and lots and lots of football. Always here at Sporty TV, we have you covered. Before we jump into the show, though, let's send it over to Alex Ashmore because there is a big match coming up right after the show. Maybe one Cristiano Ronaldo in action, and you have a little booking code for us.
I do. So it's Al Ahly against Al Nassr. Of course, John Duran's new team heading up against Al Ahly. It's going to be a tight one. Both teams performing well in the Saudi League this season. I've gone for perhaps an outside pick for this one. I've gone for a draw. I think it'll be a tough game. Both teams wanting to stay in that title race and, well, keep themselves in those top spots. And I've gone for the draw. I've gone to under 2.5 goals as well. I think it'll be a tight one. I don't see many goals, although both teams do have the capabilities and the firepower. I think it will be more of a case of keeping their back and their defence short. I've gone for a John Duran goal at any time. I think he's got what it takes. He's obviously already scored in an Al Nassr shirt. And I've gone for over 10.5 corners, which might be a little bit ambitious, but that is my pick for tonight's game. 63.41 odds. So get on that one on Sporty Bet. We've got a new feature, a bet builder, where you can pick different selections for an individual game. So I've gone for these 4 selections for tonight's game, Al Ahly against Al Nassr. So head over to the Sporty Bet app to load that. Your booking code 789743. That's in Nigeria.
Pleasure. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for that. John Duran in action. I hope you guys stay tuned for that one. All right, Clinton, we had some Champions League action yesterday. Anything stood out for you from those games, or was it pretty standard?
I mean, it was pretty much standard from the first half of all the games. It was pretty much very boring. At some point, I was going to close my laptop and go home and go watch maybe something from the past. But, you know, we were privileged enough to witness the second half, which, produced quite a few goals, especially... well, I don't know if I would say, well, you said Champions League games. I was literally going to speak about Liverpool and Everton.
We're getting into it.
Okay, we're getting into it. But Bayern Munich, you know, it was quite an interesting game with them clinching 2 goals against Celtic. Very sad for Celtic because we saw quite a few moments where they pretty much seemed very solid, towards the end of the game, and then you could tell that the players were pretty much very tired. Michael Olise did give me one of, a golazo, very beautiful goal that, it wasn't like I was surprised. People were surprised, but we've seen him score them kind of goals whilst he was at Crystal Palace, and we know he's that caliber of player to give them goals. AC Milan and Feyenoord was another one, which was quite interesting. I know, Sarah, you did mention that it was going to be maybe one of the most interesting games. We didn't believe you. Why? Because of the popularity of Feyenoord. They are not up there like the likes of AC Milan, Bayern Munich. But I think that was the most interesting game of the night. We saw Feyenoord clinching that win, and it was a very tough game, quite dramatic as well. And the other one, Monaco versus Benfica, I thought that one was boring to the point where, at some point it felt like one of our broadcasters was even falling asleep. But
is that you aiming at me, or?
I mean, actually, it wasn't you. But gladly the person is in here right now. But yeah, it was really boring, that one. Who won the game again on that one? I think
Benfica won 1-0. Monaco picked up a red card.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't really interesting. If you compare it to what happened with Manchester City versus Real Madrid, I understand that one is almost like a Champions League caliber of football. But I think that is what I love to see in football. We want to see goals. We want to see people taking on defenders. We want to see skills. We want to see these really big names giving us why they are the big names. We didn't see that with Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, the first half was so boring until Michael Olise scored that really beautiful goal, and it gave us something to be happy about. But yeah, apart from that, it was just a normal, good day of football, I guess.
It was. I've heard that we have lost Kosi for the moment, so we'll wait until he connects back with us. But let's quickly jump to the Merseyside derby, because that was quite a game.
Doctors. I'm sorry for cutting you, but see, native doctor cannot even stay on a show. And you say you have God, you have this, you have that, but your network, anyways, this is what happens in Accra.
Final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, and what a send-off it was. Guys, this was Peter Drury calling the final moment where Tarkowski scored the equalizer for Everton. Let's take a look at this. It really was a very exciting game there. We did have a bit of a technical problem. Apologies there. But, guys, the send-off for Goodison Park, Alex, I mean, this was vintage Barclays football, if you will.
It was brilliant. And it is, as much as I love stats, I love stats. I love things to be lining up. It finished with the record at Goodison Park in Merseyside derbies. Everton had 41 wins. Liverpool had 41 wins. And there were 38 draws. Nice symmetrical column there. And I feel like it would have been unjust, obviously. Liverpool could have won the game. I think they would argue that they feel like they should have gone on to win the game. They had their chances. But it feels right that Everton got a result out of this. Not a win, but a point. And they're now 10 points above the drop zone. David Moyes working his wonders. I think quite a few people were doubting whether he could pull them out of the rut that they were in. But he's already got more wins. I said this yesterday, more wins than Sean Dyche managed in 19 games, which just shows the effect he's having on that squad. And I think he's going to be up there towards the end of the season, depending on how far they can go, as a job for potentially mentioning there as manager of the season.
I agree. At the end of the match, Clinton, we did see them get into a scuffle, as you tend to see in these derbies. It was Doucouré who was celebrating that final goal in front of Liverpool fans, and Curtis Jones wasn't having anything about that, so he charged him. They both got a red card. Then we saw Arne Slot got a red card as well. I mean, it was just exactly what you expect of a derby, was it not?
I mean, definitely it was. In fact, it's, I think it was one of those games I felt like it was a Champions League game. I mean, if you notice, we were watching I think it was even more dramatic than the Champions League games at the end of the day.
For sure.
I mean, I was just glad that we had our 4 screens open, and my attention was just glued on there. I was just trying to see how Liverpool were going to clinch that win. And honestly, I was very happy with how Everton did come back. And that 1 point to me was almost like a win.
Yeah.
It felt like a draw, of course. You would expect Liverpool to feel very sad that they were supposed to come get the 3 points as usual, like they would always do, knowing that, people would classify them as the best team in Europe. But, Everton did put up a fight. They found the goal. As a matter of fact, I think Everton scored the first goal, didn't they?
They went up. They went up.
Yeah, and then, that's true. Yes, they did. And then Liverpool came back, scored a second one, which made it 2-1. And at that point, I felt like, oh, man, please do it. And if you guys noticed on the show, I was just praying for Everton. I was saying, God, please, I just want to go from Everton. And the fact that it came at the time when they scored was almost like, yes, if it wasn't for me, they probably would have lost the game. God did hear my voice, he heard my cries, and boom, that beautiful goal. And it wasn't just an ordinary goal. It was a beautiful goal, man. Did you guys see?
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
Thunderbolt.
It was... It was
some venom behind that.
Honestly, I mean, okay, it's not the same kind of goal, but it was exactly the almost... Hurricane. Oh! You are getting into my head these days, man. I don't know what's going on.
Kosi, you're back.
Native doctor, look at you.
Yes.
What did you make of the Merseyside derby yesterday? Obviously 2-2, all chaos breaking loose, and Liverpool dropping points.
I mean, absolutely scintillating game. If you understand the history between Liverpool and Everton, you would understand why one is red and one is blue. 2 teams from the same vicinity, but have been fierce rivals since forever. Now, going into this game, there were a lot of plots, there were a lot of subplots. It was a game that was staged on the complexion of quite a few things. Key thing was that Liverpool had to recover from that slip against Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup. And bear in mind that they used a second-string team. But then again, it will play on the mentality of the Liverpool team going into this one. Everton themselves are on a certain tangent of a mini revival. David Moyes, who is an iconic figure at Merseyside. I mean, he led Everton for a very long time to heights they never imagined. I believe a lot of you remember the days of Tim Cahill, etc. I mean, these guys were the key cog of Everton folklore, and they played under the tutelage of a manager like David Moyes. So this game meant a lot. Coming back into a game that he enjoyed a little or no luck from over the years, he was poised. Now you look at how that game started, how Everton got that first goal, and you realize that they went in with a certain level of intent, knowing that they could not beat Liverpool at their game. And David Moyes, who is an old fox, he's been there, seen it, done that, looked to utilize the set pieces Now, the game boiled over at the very end, not as much as would have loved it to boil over in the middle, because the tensions were rising. And when tensions rise, especially now when Liverpool can smell the Premier League title, they need to manage it psychologically. I mean, Arne Slot got sent off, and Liverpool fans will be questioning. I mean, he showed a lot of ability, incredible ability to guide Liverpool to where they are now. But does he have the mental fortitude and the temperament to ride those rough days? And those rough days will come. And now Arsenal and to some extent the other teams around them, Nottingham Forest, will be smelling that Liverpool have a certain level of a brittle temperament because of how that particular game ended. But looking back at the game, absolutely fascinating game. Everton gave it all. And these things are not scripted. James Tarkowski, final kick of the game, tagged that ball away. I mean, the Everton fans ecstatic on their feet, roaring. I mean, you do not, or you cannot pay for nights like those. And nights like those are the nights that we live for, not just as football fans, but as people that have followed this game for a very long time. Everton will be excited. I mean, they are making strides up the table, and this, more than anything, would be that boost that they were looking for. Drawing against the champions in waiting, or are they? We'll see how they handle their next game. David Moyes should be proud of his lads.
I think so as well. Well, it was a great match for the final match at Goodison Park, so I don't think it can get better than that. But we do have a very busy weekend in the Premier League, Clinton. And let's start off with Alex, maybe one Chelsea and Brighton, which is happening tomorrow. Yeah. Big news, obviously, for Chelsea is that yesterday it was announced Nicholas Jackson will be out for 6 to 8 weeks, likely returning after the international break. Can I get a comment from KlintonCod?
Well, I think... I don't know if I would say it's a blessing or a curse for Chelsea. Fact is, Nicholas Jackson, I'm not going to play him down. I'm not going to downplay him to say he's not a very key player for Chelsea. Fact is, sometimes when he's in his moment, when he's on form, we know what he's capable of. We've seen it, especially the points where he's been under criticism from myself and Mikel B. Wow, look at me calling my name on. Nah, but we. No, but you saw the impact he did make. Like, my man literally, he had to buckle up. And he started scoring goals. And when we had to calm down, I had to message Mikel. I said, bro, I think we need to start firing up again. And Mikel did say to me, he said, okay, I'm going back to my podcast and I'm going to start with my firing and then I would do mine. And we did. He did, I did. And boom, he comes up with an injury because maybe, I don't know what he was thinking. He probably felt like, okay, I don't know if whatever magic I did is going to work. And I mean, he's had to go. But the good thing about Chelsea is I feel that they can do without Nicholas Jackson. Mm-hmm. I don't see him as that player that would leave the club and, there's going to be some kind of deformity or some kind of setback for Chelsea. I think they would have. It's quite unfortunate that they don't have the likes of João Felix, who could literally step up. But at least, they do have some power guys. Obviously, you have what's it called? Is it Pedro Neto? Mm-hmm. Whom we know how crazy he can be from, the right wing, left wing. They also have the guy from Bayern. What's the name from Ajax? Tell me the name, man. Jesus Christ, that's why you're young. Why are you looking at me? You're a young man. Use your brain, man. No, not from Ajax. No, not from Ajax. Sorry, it wasn't from
PSV. Noni Madueke.
Not PSV.
Cole Palmer.
No.
Mudryk.
The one that's rumored to be going.
Nkunku.
Nkunku, simple. Jesus Christ, man.
Nkunku is from Leipzig. He's from
Not
Leipzig.
From Leipzig, not Ajax. I was going to say Leipzig. Sorry, it was. No. You have to start reading my mind.
From Ajax, but actually from Leipzig. No, I had no idea.
No. But sometimes you read my mind. That's the thing.
That wasn't one of them.
It was Leipzig.
I think it could be quite.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kosi. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I mean, when you have this type of players, there's. I don't think there's any importance for having Nicholas Jackson anywhere. Like, they are people who can decide to step up and they will score, as crazy goals or even better goals than Nicholas Jackson. So I don't see it as any major issue.
I think it could be a really good opportunity for Christopher Nkunku, and his journey so far at Chelsea hasn't been the easiest. He hasn't been given perhaps the opportunities that he would have wanted. Yes, we saw the links there with Bayern about he could have been leaving Chelsea in the transfer window, but he's still there. this is his chance to. He's a good player. There is definitely a really good quality player in there, and I think if he can get a run of form together and a run of games together, and Enzo Maresca puts that faith in him, it could be a really good tool heading into this second part of the season for Chelsea. And unfortunate as well that Mark Guill's injured as well, and he's out for a number of weeks, and he'll probably miss that last 16 of the Conference League, and he could have been playing a bit part role in that as well. So not ideal timing for both of or two of your main out-and-out strikers to get injured.
But you could be Arsenal.
You could be Arsenal, and you could have no forward line.
Yeah.
Being unfair, they still have Trossard. Martinelli will come back before the season's over. But there are worse situations you could be in, and we heard this morning as well that Enzo Maresca is now going to start using Philip Jorgensen as his Premier League goalkeeper ahead of Robert Sanchez, which for Chelsea fans, I think they'll be very happy with that one.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this, Alex, because the quote is, our goalkeeper at the moment is Philip Jorgensen. I said that Philip's solution was also to give Robert Sanchez time to recover mentally and physically, but the idea is not to game-by-game change the keeper. Thoughts as a Chelsea fan?
I think the big thing for me, and I agree with what you said at the end there in terms of chopping and changing goalkeepers, I think that's one of the worst things you can do when it comes to that position. That is the one position where you need a run of games to get into the rhythm of things, and it can't be something that you play one game here and then wait 3 weeks and play another game, because you lose that feeling of the pace of the game. So to have a run of games in the Premier League for Jorgensen will do his confidence. It will be brilliant for his confidence, and it will, I think, help him improve his game. We know that he's a good goalkeeper. He's still very young, so I'm sure still lots of things that he believes he can improve on. And I think when you look at the mistakes that Robert Sanchez has made so far this season for Chelsea, they've put Chelsea in too many bad situations and let them down in too many games. You look at, I think the prime example is that Man City game where, had it not been for Robert Sanchez, Chelsea still could have got a result in that game. And he's let Chelsea down far too many times, and he's not been good enough to be a starting goalkeeper for a team like Chelsea who want to be challenging for top four in a couple of years' titles. And I'm all for it. If Philip Jorgensen can be the man to replace him, then I'm happy for him.
All right, go ahead.
I was just going to say that sometimes when you look at what Chelsea has, even without having the likes of Nicholas Jackson, I understand that Nicholas Jackson, he's a guy who's got the energy. He runs around. He goes to chase the ball. He's not one of those kind of players that you would say he's lazy, right? When you compare Christopher Nkunku to Nicholas Jackson, the truth is I can tell you that Nkunku is more of a lazy player compared to Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson, clearly, he can literally go. He can literally run from midfield. Go to find his position somewhere in front. He could go to at least pressure the opposition. You see him defending, right? And that's not something I see in that. He doesn't give me that kind of vibe that he's that kind of person. But if they are going to play Christopher Nkunku as that point man, and when you look at the fact that you have a Pedro Neto, you have Madueke, you have a Cole Palmer as that front three just behind Christopher Nkunku, I don't think Chelsea would have any much of a problem.
It's still very dangerous.
I think they have literally that front four. They're as good as having okay, maybe I don't know if I should compare them to Real Madrid, but I could easily say, okay, Cole Palmer, I could cross him off with Jude Bellingham. Yeah? Pedro Neto, truth is...
I'm not going to compare him to Vinicius.
No, but truth is, let's be sincere with ourselves. I'm not going to compare him because maybe he's not played on that stage where Vinicius has played, but truth is, we've seen him being a very dangerous winger. Like, fact is, this is something I'll listen to people, yeah? Because you've not had the opportunity to be on that world stage, doesn't mean you are not as good as people who are there, right? There are footballers who are playing like literally, who have made it in football, and there are people who have not made it in football who are better than people who have made it there. This is my belief. You understand? So, truth is, there are wingers who I can easily say they can go head to head with Vinicius, but because they have not gotten to the point where they are playing on that place that he's gotten up to, people would underrate them.
He's probably been Chelsea's best signing this summer.
Absolutely, facts.
When you look at the other players that they brought in and the effect that he's had, I think over the last 2 years, no one compares to what Cole Palmer's done. But in the recent 6-10 months, Pedro Neto, I thought was a really astute signing, a sense signing, a player that they needed, and a player that has Premier League experience as well. I'm going to sign the next best youngster in, whether it be the Bundesliga or La Liga or say a league in South America, which Chelsea have done with Esteban William, who's going to be coming over in the summer, I believe. But signing a player like Pedro Neto, who has consistent Premier League form and has shown that he can perform at the best level, the top level, I think it's a brilliant signing for Chelsea.
How do you feel this game's going to go tomorrow? Obviously, Chelsea and Brighton back again with one another. Last time round, Brighton knocked Chelsea out of the FA Cup with Matoma's winner there. But usually when teams play each other back to back, it doesn't always go the same way. What do you reckon for tomorrow?
First of all, let's look at, the conversation you're having, the Nicolas Jackson conversation. Then we move on to why that would affect or not affect the game, and probably come to the argument of Chelsea's front line. Now, I always tell people that Nicolas Jackson is like driving a Toyota on a Formula One track, right? He would roll along the road, but when he needs to put his feet on the pedal, he doesn't. He doesn't get you the goals, but he works hard. And that's a conundrum for somebody who's supposed to be a striker. He should not be in that position, where he's struggling to get goals. Now, the coach has trusted him all through simply because of that ability of his to press from the top and ensure that Chelsea are on the front foot. Now, Christopher Nkunku, on the other hand, is the guy who is supposed to get you the goals. But his confidence
Sorry,
has
Kosi, we're just having a bit of trouble hearing you. I don't know if there's a phone call or something going on, but we're just having a little bit of sound.
Are you able to hear me now? Is it clear now?
Yeah, much better.
Is it clear now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kosi, tell the person who's ringing that phone that
So
if I catch him real life, I'm Nigerian. I will.
So should I tell you who was ringing the phone? Should I tell you who was ringing the phone?
Don't tell me it's Gary.
It was it was the Minister of Sports, the Ghanaian Minister of Sports, Honorable Mr. Kofi Adams.
Tell Kofi if he tries it again. I don't care his name. I'm not looking for you.
He's the Minister of Sports, bro.
I don't care. Who is he?
He's the Minister of Sports.
Okay.
As in, who does Minister of Sports help? You should not call Kosi's line again when Kosi is speaking to SportyTV.
No, but continue, Coach.
Please, but anyway, we'll get there. Yeah, so I was saying, Nicolas Jackson will press but not get you the goals. And in fact, somebody called in on my show and he said if Nicolas Jackson wants to press, he should work in a laundry where he would be the pressing iron. But then again, Nkunku's confidence has suffered. He's a fantastic player, silky guy who should be getting you the goals. But then again, his confidence has suffered. And we saw him in that game against Brighton. If you keep a player on the bench for so long, that's exactly what happens. And that's what Christopher Nkunku has gone through. Now, Chelsea need to find an antidote. They've let Joao Felix go. And a lot of people who watched that AC Milan game last night to understand why they let Joao Felix go. He can play as an arrowhead. He's a silky player as well, but very inconsistent. But then Chelsea have it all to do now against the Brighton side, who look very well drilled, who look to exploit the spaces that would occur. Now, Chelsea have struggled, especially with transitions this season. And Brighton will be looking at that. The defensive pairing of Tosin Aderabioyo and what's his name? Chalobah was also very much exposed. Chelsea don't have a backup left back. Maybe Renato Vega as Juventus could have done a job. But then this game looks very, very well poised for a draw once again because of the uncertainty in that Chelsea team. And the fact that Enzo Maresca doesn't even know who his best goalkeeper is. Sanchez is terrible. 5 errors leading to goal this season. Jorgensen is still learning on the job. They have like 10 other keepers on loan. Chelsea need to get their act right. They started the season very well. There was that backward spiral, but they need to get back on that pedestal again. And what's that pedestal? Consistency. Cole Palmer cannot be the go-to man every single time. The likes of Chukwunonso Madueke, the likes of Joao Pedro, the likes there are quite a few players on the bench that could come out and make that difference. But then again, that midfield as well looks pretty light. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia can't stay fit. They've gone in and brought a midfielder from France. Look across that team and suddenly you don't see as much quality as you used to see probably at the beginning of the season, maybe because of injuries, maybe because players are still young, etc. So Brighton will fancy their chances. And Chelsea need to understand that they need a revival, and they need one very, very, very quickly. Against Brighton, Fabian Hazeler will be smelling blood. He'll be looking to exploit already that weakness that looks to be showing. Chelsea mentally are brittle. They will get a goal, but Brighton as well have a goal in them because Chelsea's defense are probably bound to make the mistakes we saw them make at the Amex in the FA Cup. So it boils down to who is more resolute. If Chelsea are able to be resolute, they will get a result. It doesn't seem like they are there mentally. Can Enzo Maresca get them there? We find out tomorrow on Valentine's Day. Can he not? Brighton will be licking their lips at the prospect of facing Chelsea. So for me now, it's looking like a draw in my books, or perhaps a narrow Brighton win.
All right, well, Alex, I'm going to give you the prediction for this match before we move along, because I think Clinton will want the Man City one. So I'm just getting one prediction because we have a lot of games to talk about. Prediction, Brighton-Chelsea tomorrow.
2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. You've heard it here first. All right, we have a lot to talk about, so let's move along. Manchester City taking on Newcastle. And Clinton, you have a lot to say about this game, but I'm going to ask you, I'm going to beg you that you please try and wrap it into the nicest little, paragraph that you can.
But you didn't tell
23 minutes.
you didn't tell Kosi to wrap it.
Next time I will. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a rant. We got a lot to talk about.
Clinton is bringing this Nigerian feud here again. Clinton.
Sorry.
Today I'm English.
By the
Today
way,
I'm
please,
English.
after the show, do you mind sending me that wristwatch you're wearing, man? Because I want to sell it and buy a house in
why
England.
not?
Please.
Why not?
Yeah. Hope it's the original one, no?
I got you. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Right.
Continue.
Yeah, we roll with the big boys.
Yeah. That's why I want to wear it, so at least my big boy rolling will complete. Now, truth is, when you look at Manchester City versus Newcastle, I just want to say what's going to happen before I dissect it, right? 100%, I feel like he's still going to go in Newcastle well, right? If Manchester City, they are home in this one.
It doesn't really mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything, to be honest, exactly, because we've seen it with Real Madrid as well. Now, fact is, I want to just advise Manchester City and their fans. If you guys want a quick solution to Manchester City and going back to the winning ways, it's very simple. Usually people pay for this advice I want to give you now, but because of my love for the club and knowing that I've worked with quite a few players from the club, especially the last Ballon d'Or winner, man to man, I'm not trying to cast myself up. Absolutely, I have to do it, man, so they know. Now, I am just doing it for the friendship's sake. They need to send Pep Guardiola on a 2-month sabbatical leave. And he has to go to a hot country where he's going to relax, calm his head down. And whilst he's on this vacation, they need to provide him with a very nice, young-looking, beautiful girl that he's going to enjoy himself on the beach. Because I understand that he's just gone through a divorce and he's lost properties and he's done this. Sorry?
He should come to Ghana then.
Okay, absolutely. Please, Kosi would fix him up with one of the Ghanaian bands.
Yeah.
But I just know that
definitely.
that is exactly what he needs. He needs to calm down, refresh his brain, and then come back and start. The truth is, I understand that this man might be going through a lot. And when you're going through this kind of emotional stuff, I don't think this is the best time for you to be coaching a team like Manchester City, especially when they have all these kind of important matches all lined up. The truth is, we've seen it happen in the past. Thomas Tuchel with Chelsea, he had a divorce, and we saw him making some of the wrong decisions that meant that Chelsea started losing games, and they had to drop him off. The truth is, it wasn't an emotional decision. It was a decision that had to be made. When you see coaches having to go through this kind of stuff, give them the break. They are human beings as well. There's a lot of things going through their brain, and they need to chill. The truth is, we see it with Pep Guardiola making some irrational decisions that you know that this is just not a Pep Guardiola level of decisions. We saw it with the Real Madrid game. We've seen it with a whole bunch of games that he's struggling to win. He's struggling to win teams that are coming from League One. Like, this is not very normal. The truth is, my man is going through so much. Look at his look. He's looking like one of the beggars on the streets of England. We are talking about a millionaire here. We are talking about Pep Guardiola, somebody who's coached the best player in the world. Look at what he's having to deal with. They need to give him time. They need to give him a replacement. I'm telling you right now that if somebody else will coach this Manchester City team for like a week or two, you will see the whole change. The truth is, he has lost it. This is not the Pep Guardiola we know. He's going to continue losing games so long as he does not take that break. The truth is he has a lot of battles he's having to face mentally, physically, and you're having to deal with a whole team. I'm sure that whilst he's coaching this team, there's a lawyer telling him that, bro, listen, we can actually get back this property. Oh, your wife is telling you, your ex-wife is saying that this has to happen. We just found your daughter crying somewhere. Like, I'm sure these are personal issues that are probably confusing his job. Listen, I know this might sound like some kind of joke, but I'm telling you for free. If you've gone through this kind of thing before, you would understand what I'm speaking about. This thing is not... Pep Guardiola needs to chill. They really need to let him go rest. Let him take a break. I'm not saying sack Pep, because I'm telling you for free, it's going to get to a point where people are going to be calling that, okay, Pep, this is it. You need to go. But no, I'm not saying Pep should go. It's not going to be the best time for him to go, but he needs to take a chill pill. He needs to take a break. And when he comes back, after he has calmed down, he's cleared his head, trust me, Manchester City will come back to the city they used to be before. Sorry, I know you guys gave me 1 minute.
Right.
Alexander Isak has 17 goals. Haaland has 19 in the Premier League. I see that. Do you think Alexander Isak can level up to Haaland's 19 goals in this match this weekend?
I mean, I think he's a real threat for Newcastle, and we've seen how well he's performed this season. And not just him, you look at Anthony Gordon as well, and the rest of that Newcastle team, the midfielders they have, Joe Linton, even at the back, the strength they have from top to bottom. You look at that formation. Newcastle are one of the strongest teams in the Premier League right now, and I really think they can prove to be a difficult test for Manchester City because they've got the players to do it. Manchester City played in the week against Real Madrid. Newcastle have had that week off. They've had extra time to rest. Coming off a loss like they did in such a manner against Real Madrid, the motivation, the feeling in the camp would have been quite low. Yes, there's the other side of that coin that says they could really want to have a point to prove, but when you're going through these moments, you're so inconsistent week in, week out, whether one week you play close to your best and then the next week you can't seem to string two passes together without giving the ball away. It can really take a long-term effect on your confidence as a squad. And we talk about that quote there from Ruben Diaz about the psychological aspect of the game and how the squad may be really affected in that manner. And I think Newcastle will be licking their lips and think this game is there for the taking.
Clinton, I need a score prediction from you.
No, I think this one is probably going to 3-1 for
3-1
Newcastle.
to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Easy as. All right, well, guys, just a reminder, Manchester City and Newcastle will be on SportyTV this weekend from maybe what people might call this the most exciting game to what some people might call the worst game. Manchester United taking on Tottenham Hotspur, who is in a worse position right now. Yes, we are calling it all sorts of names, aren't we, Alex? I won't say them. You guys at home, I'm sure you're saying the same thing. But there's not much to say about this one. Both teams in bad form. Both teams playing poor football. Both teams can't seem to get together for maybe different reasons here and there. But who are you backing in this one right now? This Tottenham is at home.
To be honest, it's hard to back one of them. I think if I was to lean one way, it would be towards the side of Manchester United. I think Spurs, they're in disarray at the moment. You saw them at the weekend against Aston Villa, a really disappointing defeat. They didn't play badly, but it was, I think, the manner of which Ange Postecoglou said after the game of how playing constantly with the thin squad that they have, he can't afford to rotate these players. So these players are having to play week in, week out, twice a week sometimes. And the pressure is sometimes too much for those players, and especially the youngsters they have in there. You look at Archie Gray, who's been playing, I think he's played at this point, he's probably played every position across that back four. So for Tottenham, I saw an interesting video this week of King Charles asking Heung-min Son, do you think you have the capabilities to beat Manchester United, or how do you think it's going to go? And he said, we're in a difficult moment, but we're working hard. And you could just tell that the cogs in his head were thinking, it's going to be a difficult one because Manchester United themselves, they have their own issues, and we've seen Ruben Amorim still trying to work out his best tactics, his best formation, but I just really can't see Spurs getting a win here. They've been poor, they've been diabolical, they've been really short of the mark this season in the Premier League, in the FA Cup, in the Carabao. Yes, they got to the semi-finals, but they never really looked like they were in that second leg against Liverpool. So, yeah, if I was a betting man for this one, I would lean towards Manchester United, I think.
Well, let us know for all of you watching. Drop your comments here on who you think is going to win or if it's going to be a draw, because right now Isabor thinks it's going to be 0-0. And can you imagine sitting through that 90 minutes of football and it being 0-0? I'm not quite sure. Clinton, who are you backing in this one? Obviously, you love your United, but it's been a tough break over the last couple of years. And you are playing a Spurs, though, who are lower in the Premier League table then.
No, I mean, truth is, on paper, it's very easy to say it's going to go to Manchester United. We are assuming Ruben Amorim will do the right thing and not, start to do this experimental stuff that he continues doing. I understand that, I mean, he's a top coach who's come from a team that has just continually won games until he left. And now we could see the effect of him not even being in the team. You see that level of performing. Now, for me, I don't know how long it's going to take for him to continue with this experiment. But I think even in the middle of doing experiments, there are things you just can't, there are mistakes you cannot make, right? There are some games that you have to start your best players.
Right.
For example, the last Manchester United game that we had, we saw Garnacho coming from the bench and he came and literally changed everything. And, if it wasn't the fact that he was there, I don't know what the fans would have been saying, but he literally was a game changer. Now, if you are playing at Tottenham, who equally are not doing exceptionally well in the Premier League, you will just need to have to take advantage of it, right? Look at them and say, hang on, wait, which player should I bring on at this point? If I was Amorim, what should I be doing? I'll be thinking about maybe not starting Zexi. Okay, Højlund is there, start your Garnacho and have the usual Diallo there, could be Mainu in the middle and maybe the experienced Bruno Fernandes, whom I usually trust. I'm not going to say Manchester United defensively, I don't think we have too much of a problem at this point. We still have good guys just behind. The team is not really stable enough to say we can go in to win again, but this is a deformed Tottenham. And every team would face Tottenham thinking this is the right time to take advantage of the 3 points. But I see it going the Manchester United way, assuming Amorim will not start this experiment stuff again. Let him go on with our best players, and let's just go in and go straight in and win the game. Easy. All
right, so both of you are backing United in this one. Just for fun here, we asked you guys who is your favorite in Man City and Newcastle. And gentlemen, 69% have backed Man City against Newcastle. Clinton? Everyone's entitled to their...
Absolutely.
All right, so lots of action in the Premier League. Let's move along, though, to the Serie A, because, yes, on SportyTV, we have Inter versus Juve. And, Alex, this is interesting because Inter are playing Juve, Lazio are playing Napoli, and if Napoli draw or lose to Lazio and Inter win this match, we have a new leader in the Serie A. It could be a very exciting weekend and another weekend where we see a lot of change in the table. Now, you actually were thinking that maybe it could be a draw on this one.
Yes, I mean, this may be my eyes drifting towards that number 13 in the draw column for Juventus, and Inter are quite the fan of a draw themselves. They've had 6, and I think when you look at this game, it's going to be a brilliant game. It's going to be a tactical, it's going to be a chess match. I think that's probably the perfect way to describe it. Both teams will be trying to work each other out. It will be one of those slow 12-round boxing matches with some jabs. There won't be any big uppercuts or swinging for the fences in the early rounds. I think both teams know what's at stake. Juventus, like you said there, a lot can change. They're 2 points behind Lazio in 5th. They want to really stamp a mark on that top 4 race and try and consolidate a position in that top 4. And even if you think about it, catch up to Atalanta, who've slowly dipped off a little bit in terms of the title race and see themselves a little bit behind Napoli and Inter Milan. But Inter as well, a lot at stake for them, because if they win, they could find themselves at the top at the end of the week. So a really good game, and one of those games that you think you grow up and you think of Italian football, you watch it on the TV, and these are the games you imagine, look back in 20 years' time, these will be one of the classics of Italian football and 2 of the biggest teams in Italian football history as well.
Absolutely. As well as with, Inter going head-to-head with Napoli. Juve are going to try and hope that Lazio lose, because if Lazio lose and Juve beat Inter, then Juve will push into the top 4, which, they've been out of for a very long time now. Clinton, Randall Colomwani obviously has moved to Juventus, and he's going to want to put on a show against Inter. But do you think that this is the right man for Juve, knowing that Dusan Vlahovic is a good striker, but maybe he's not getting the numbers that they need from, an all-time all goal-scoring striker, like, let's say, a Harry Kane or a Lewandowski?
That you've just given me some crazy-ass question. Now, I mean, truth is, Colomwani is one of those people whom I may not watch very often, but when you've seen his rates on a pitch, you would know that this guy has something that the world is here to see.
Yeah.
Right. Fact is, I see a lot of talent in him. You know, when I look at him, I see that star that we see in the likes of John Duran, right? That is not really shining just yet. Now, the truth is, he's just joined a team where I believe it would be more feasible for people to see his capabilities, right? And that's one of the happiness I see. Now, Serie A is not the league that I would say a lot of players will struggle at. And you know, he's not playing in a caricature team where you would say, okay, you know, you're not going to progress, or you don't have the caliber of players around you that will bring out the best in you at the end of the day. You know, I look at that team and I just believe that he's probably going to be that guy that everybody would put an eye on in the Serie A, just the same way we have the likes of, you know, say the Ademola Lookman, you know, the Retegi and the rest of them. And, you know, I see him flourishing, you know.
Okay, so he could become the man for Juventus.
I feel like he will be.
All right. Do you see him scoring against Inter this weekend?
There is a very, for his caliber of play, yeah.
Yeah?
I think he will, in my opinion.
What do you think, Alex?
I could say, to be honest, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, and I think Isibor Luffy has stolen my prediction, 1-1 Inter Milan with a late equaliser. I don't think it'll be a late equaliser, but I can see it being 1-1. And it's going to be a tense one. Both teams, quality players on their day. We've seen Juventus, they've scraped their way through in the Champions League, and they've got a lead going into the second leg, but I think it will be one of those ones where form kind of goes out the window for this one. So, yeah, I'm expecting a draw.
All right, well, let's see. I'm going to go for an Inter 1-0 win. Classic Serie A in the 65th minute about, and that's all she wrote.
65th minute.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, and that's going to be the only action of the game. But I do think it'll be a good match, and I'll be watching. Before we wrap up, let's quickly talk Bundesliga, because your boy is in action. It's the two top teams in the Bundesliga right here on SportyTV. Bayern Munich taking on Bayer Leverkusen. Now, gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but I was looking into both of these teams in the Bundesliga. Now, Bayer Leverkusen has only lost once in the Bundesliga, and that was August 31st to Leipzig. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich have only lost twice in the Bundesliga. Last time they lost was in December. We are really talking about the two top teams. Like, Leverkusen went on that amazing run last season, obviously undefeated. And yes, they did lose early on, but to not have lost a league match since August 31st is incredible, Alex.
I mean, they're both really strong this season in the Bundesliga, and I think we're perhaps seeing with Bayer Leverkusen how they're maybe in a little bit of a hangover period from last season of how well they did, and that they stormed to the title and they got to the final of the Europa League undone by a magic night from Ademola Lookman. And I think for Bayern this season, it's been a case of repairing the wrongs of last season. It was a difficult one under Thomas Tuchel. He wasn't able to be honest, I don't think any manager would have been able to compete with how good Bayer Leverkusen were last season. They were a level above everyone else. But Vincent Kompany has kept them plodding along in the league. They've scored 65 goals this season. They've only conceded 19. They've had some fun along the way. The same can't be said in the Champions League, unfortunately, but they're there, and they're 8 points ahead. I think they would have taken a lot of joy from Bayer Leverkusen's draw last weekend, and we've seen some great matches between these two sides, and obviously the DFB Pokal earlier on this season when Nathan Teller got the win for Leverkusen. But it's going to be a good one, and I'm excited for this one. I think this is if I was to pick a match of the weekend, this is my match I'm most looking forward to this weekend.
Nice. I'm sorry, I did misspeak. I misspoke, rather. Both teams have only lost one match in the Bundesliga each. Bayern's coming much later in the season. But Clinton, is there some hope and maybe some reason as to why you're backing Leverkusen, not just because of one Victor Boniface, but because Bayern Munich are obviously entertaining some Champions League football once again next week, and they only have a 1-goal difference between them and Celtic. Meanwhile, Leverkusen are on their way to the round of 16, sitting pretty.
Well, first of all, I don't know why you feel like I'm going to support Bayer Leverkusen on this one, because my boy plays for them. But, I mean, if you think I'm going to support them, you are absolutely right.
I say things to say things.
Truth is, when you look at that Bayer Leverkusen team, when you look at the players there and what they've done, you've literally just mentioned it. They are not doing any kind of playoffs to get into the next rounds in the Champions League. It's to tell you how good they've been. Talking about the Bundesliga as well, you've just mentioned it. They've only lost one game. Is to tell you how solid they've been. But this is now it's almost like the clash of the Titans. This is a very big game, and it's one of those games where it's very hard for you to say what is going to happen. Like, I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be a Bayer Leverkusen win, but I cannot even tell you either that it's going to be a Bayern Munich win, because we've seen Bayern Munich perform yesterday, and they performed against the Celtic. Now, truth is, if Celtic was to face this current Bayer Leverkusen, I don't think they would have that much delay in terms of their performance level against a Celtic. It would have been some kind of classic win for Bayer Leverkusen, judging by how they've been playing lately. They're a very good side. Of course, sometimes they would have their deeps, but their deeps would, it's not that kind of deep that would make you feel some kind of scare to say, okay, I'm scared of you going into this one. But like I said, this is Bayern Munich, and these are the two best teams in Germany. This is one of the biggest games this weekend, if you ask me. I don't know which. Yep. Yeah, there are quite a few of them. Juve, Inter, even to me, Manchester City, Newcastle. Let's be serious with ourselves.
It's not going to be good football. I'll tell you that much for free. I'll tell you that much for free. Juve and Inter is my game, and then maybe this one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? For me, even listen, Chelsea, Brighton is also a big game.
Absolutely.
If you ask me, these are a couple of really lovely games this weekend. Oh man,
give me guys score predictions for this game before we go.
2-2 goal from Harry Kane.
Me too.
I was gonna go the same. Jesus Christ, man.
2-2.
How did you know?
I'll tell you all 4 goals.
How did you know, man?
It's gonna be 4 of them: Harry Kane, Patrick Schick, Jeremy Frimpong, and Lakel Serge Gnabry.
Hang on, wait. Did you just go for Frimpong?
Yep.
Okay, that's a very good choice, actually.
Guys, if they all end up scoring Monday, I'm going to be relentless. Clinton, you also want to go 2-2, though?
Definitely, 2-2.
I was literally,
before you said it, I was literally going to tell her 2-2 is where I'm thinking about, because I know the truth is there are
4-1.
fact is there are going to be goals in the game.
I think so.
We can't even. But it's when I was making my statement, I say it's a game I can't say who's going to win.
Right.
But so that was to tell you, I was going more on the draw.
Yeah.
And then the scoreline for me, I knew it was going to be, a lot of goals, and I was going to go for the 2-2. So Alex saying it, and you confirming we're going to say it, and okay, so maybe this is the spirit.
All right.
On SportyBet, I don't know what the odds are, but
check it out on SportyBet, a friendly reminder: Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich on SportyTV this weekend. Coming up right after the show today, we have Al Ahly versus Al Nassr and Cristiano Ronaldo, guys. But that is it for us today. A jam-packed weekend of football ahead, as always, and Monday we'll be back to review it all. So until then, enjoy the football. Victor Boniface, one goal. Boom, boom.